There comes a moment in the twin flame journey when everything changes, not because the connection itself fades, but because the divine feminine has reached her breaking point. She has loved, waited, nurtured, and held space for her twin flame through every storm. She has forgiven, surrendered, and prayed for union. But then one day, something inside her quietly shifts. It isn't anger or bitterness, it's a deep knowing that she can no longer keep pouring from an empty cup. This moment is what many call the turning point. It is when the divine feminine is done, not out of hate, but from exhaustion and clarity. And when that happens, everything in the connection begins to turn upside down. This isn't the kind of ending the ego fears. It's not about walking away forever or closing the heart. It's about reclaiming her power, her worth, and her peace. For so long, she has been the emotional anchor of the connection, the one who sees beyond appearances, who believes in the love even when it seems impossible. But the awakening of the divine feminine comes with the realization that true love cannot thrive where self-abandonment exists. And when she chooses herself fully, the energy of the entire connection begins to transform. In this video, we will explore this sacred turning point in depth, the emotional, energetic, and spiritual shifts that occur when the divine feminine finally says, enough. We will look at what happens within her, what happens within the divine masculine, and how this decision becomes the catalyst that changes the entire course of their journey. At the heart of every twin flame journey lies a deep and unconditional love that defies logic. But love alone isn't enough to sustain the divine feminine forever. There comes a time when she realizes that no matter how much she gives, she cannot force alignment. Her heart, once overflowing with hope, begins to tire from the endless waiting, overthinking, and emotional turbulence. This exhaustion isn't weakness. It's a divine sign that her soul is ready to evolve. When the divine feminine reaches this point, it often begins subtly. She may notice herself feeling less reactive to her twin silence, less desperate for signs, and less interested in the constant push and pull. She starts valuing her peace more than the connection itself. At first, this shift can be confusing. She may wonder if she's losing her love or if her heart is closing. But in truth, this detachment is sacred. It's her higher self reclaiming balance after a long period of emotional overextension. This exhaustion is not something to fight. It is a natural consequence of awakening. The more she ascends, the less she can tolerate imbalance. She begins to understand that her twin's journey is not her responsibility to fix. Her healing doesn't depend on his return. It depends on her willingness to nurture her own light. In this phase, it's important for the divine feminine to allow herself rest, emotional rest, mental rest, spiritual rest. This is not giving up. It is surrendering the need to control what cannot be controlled. Meditation, spending time in nature, journaling, or simply sitting in silence become her new forms of devotion. She learns to breathe again, to exist without chasing, to love without losing herself. It's in this stillness that her energy begins to recalibrate. Her heart softens, but her boundaries strengthen. She no longer seeks reassurance or validation from the connection because she finds it within herself. And in this quiet reclamation of power, the universe begins to stir. One of the most profound changes that occur when the divine feminine is done is the energetic reversal that follows. For so long, she has been the one holding the energetic thread of the connection, sending unconditional love, healing energy, and emotional stability through the bond. But when she withdraws, the balance of power shifts. Energetically, the divine masculine has grown used to her presence. Even during separation, her love has always been there like an invisible heartbeat, steady and reassuring. But the moment she chooses to redirect that energy toward herself, he feels the void immediately. It's not something he can explain or understand logically. It's an inner unease, a sense that something vital is missing. This void often triggers his awakening. Without her steady vibration to rely on, he is left face to face with his own shadows, fears, and emotional wounds. The comfort of knowing she will always wait begins to fade, and he is forced to confront what he has been running from, his feelings, his purpose, and the depth of their connection. During this period, the divine feminine may notice strange energetic shifts. She might feel sudden waves of emotion that don't belong to her, or vivid dreams of her twin reaching out. This is because the energy between them is recalibrating. The cords of attachment are being purified and transformed from dependence to balance. It's crucial for her to remain grounded during this phase. She must resist the temptation to rush back in when she senses his distress. Instead, she must continue choosing herself and trust that her withdrawal is serving a higher purpose. The more she stands in her power, the more it pushes the masculine to rise into his. This is the paradox of the twin flame dynamic. Sometimes love demands distance so that both souls can find wholeness individually. The divine feminine's absence becomes the very thing that awakens the divine masculine's desire to heal and evolve. And what once felt like the end is often just the beginning of a new energetic balance. When the divine feminine finally lets go, she begins to rediscover herself outside the identity of the chaser or the awakened twin. For so long, her energy has revolved around the connection, understanding signs, analyzing dreams, reading synchronicities, and longing for union. But once she releases the need to control the outcome, she opens the door to a deeper form of awakening, one that's entirely about her own soul. This stage is often called the inner rebirth. It's when she rediscovers her joy, her purpose, her creativity, and her independence. The energy she once devoted to the connection now flows into her self-development. She might feel inspired to start new projects, explore spiritual practices, or connect with people who resonate with her new frequency. There's a growing sense of freedom within her, a realization that she is complete with or without her twin. This rebirth also brings a deeper understanding of unconditional love. She learns that love isn't about waiting or suffering. It's about allowing. It's about seeing her twin as a mirror, not as a missing piece. Her compassion deepens, but it no longer drains her. She can love him without attachment, without needing him to change or return. In this space of freedom, the divine feminine becomes magnetic again. Her light grows brighter, her aura expands, and her vibration elevates. This doesn't go unnoticed by the universe or by her twin. When she steps into this energy of wholeness, she naturally begins to attract better experiences, opportunities, and relationships that align with her new frequency. The inner rebirth is a reminder that the twin flame journey was never meant to break her. It was meant to wake her. Every heartbreak, every tear, every period of silence was preparing her for this moment, to stand fully in her divine essence. And from this place of strength, love flows effortlessly once more. When the divine feminine withdraws her energy, the divine masculine begins to experience his own unraveling. The comfort of her unconditional love, which once felt like an ever-present safety net, suddenly disappears. At first, he may feel confusion, frustration, or even anger. But underneath these emotions lies a deep ache, a realization that he has taken something sacred for granted. This awakening can be intense for him. He starts feeling the emotions he once ran from: guilt, longing, love, and regret. Memories of her come uninvited, and he begins to see the truth of the connection he once tried to deny. It's as if the universe has turned the mirror toward him, forcing him to see himself clearly for the first time. The divine masculine's awakening often brings about a deep emotional purge. His old coping mechanisms, distractions, avoidance, control, no longer work. Life begins to challenge him in unexpected ways. Relationships or situations that once felt stable may start to crumble. It's the universe's way of guiding him toward authenticity. This stage is crucial because it teaches him empathy. For the first time, he begins to feel what the divine feminine felt: the pain of separation, the weight of emotional distance, the yearning for something real. This empathy becomes the bridge that helps him evolve into the version of himself capable of matching her energy. Meanwhile, the divine feminine must hold steady in her detachment. Her role is not to rescue him or to reopen old wounds. Her strength, peace, and self-focus serve as a silent invitation for him to rise. It's in witnessing her independence and calm that he begins to understand the depth of her love. This awakening process for the masculine can take time, but it's divinely orchestrated. Every tower moment he faces, every emotional realization he experiences, brings him closer to his truth. And as he sheds his fears, he begins to see her not just as his twin flame, but as his mirror, his teacher, and his equal. When the divine feminine is truly done, the entire dynamic of the connection turns upside down. The chaser becomes the still one, and the runner becomes restless. The one who once begged for attention is now detached, and the one who once avoided emotions begins to feel them deeply. This reversal is not punishment, it's alignment. For so long, the energy between them was unbalanced, with one twin giving more while the other resisted. But the universe always seeks harmony. When she reclaims her energy, it forces the masculine to confront his truth. Suddenly, everything that once made sense to him no longer does. The distractions lose their appeal, the walls he built start to crumble, and the stability he once felt begins to dissolve. Life may start pushing him out of his comfort zone through circumstances he can't control. Relationships, jobs, or habits that no longer resonate begin to fall apart. This is what it means when everything turns upside down. It's the divine rearranging his life so that he can evolve. For the divine feminine, this phase can feel strangely peaceful. She may witness these changes from afar, sensing his turmoil, but no longer being emotionally pulled into it. It's not coldness, it's wisdom. She understands now that growth often requires chaos. This stage is also when the connection begins to purify. Old karmic patterns, fears, and emotional dependencies are stripped away. Both twins are being prepared for a higher level of union, not necessarily physical at first, but spiritual and energetic. As the illusions collapse, both twins begin to see the connection for what it truly is, not a romantic fantasy, but a sacred path towards self-realization. And while the outer world may appear chaotic, the inner world is finally aligning with divine truth. When the divine feminine reaches the point of true detachment, her energy transforms. She no longer lives in constant anticipation of her twin's return or reunion. Instead, she lives in peace. Her focus shifts from when will he come back to how can I keep growing, glowing, and creating the life I deserve. This is the stage where she becomes unstoppable. The emotional heaviness that once surrounded her begins to lift. Her intuition sharpens, her manifestations accelerate, and her heart radiates a calm confidence that others can feel. She no longer seeks closure because she realizes that closure comes from within. Living in this new frequency means she is no longer chasing love. She embodies it. Her days are filled with purpose. Her boundaries are firm yet compassionate, and her presence becomes healing to those around her. She becomes a beacon of divine feminine energy, strong, graceful, nurturing, and wise. This piece doesn't mean she has forgotten her twin flame. The love remains, but it no longer controls her. It becomes a gentle reminder of how far she has come and how deeply she has learned to love without attachment. As she continues to rise, she begins to attract people and experiences that match her vibration. Abundance flows effortlessly, creative ideas flourish, and her spiritual gifts expand. She realizes that by choosing herself, she has not lost her twin. She has simply found herself. And that self-discovery was the real purpose of the journey all along. The twin flame journey is ultimately about balance, the merging of divine feminine and masculine energies within and between both souls. When the divine feminine is done, she unknowingly initiates this balance. Her detachment sends a ripple through the energetic bond, forcing both twins to step into alignment. For the divine masculine, her absence becomes the greatest teacher. Without her constant energetic reassurance, he learns to connect with his own higher self. He begins to face his fears, heal his wounds, and awaken to his divine purpose. The void she leaves behind becomes the space in which his soul begins to grow. For the divine feminine, this balance means no longer needing to control or fix anything. She understands that her twin's journey is his own, and that love doesn't require possession. She begins to live from a place of trust. Trust in divine timing, trust in the connection, and most importantly, trust in herself. This balance often leads to unexpected reconnection. Not because she chased or demanded it, but because her vibration called it forth naturally. When both twins reach a level of inner harmony, the universe finds ways to align them again. Sometimes in the physical, sometimes only in spirit. But whether or not union occurs, the divine feminine has already won. She has reclaimed her peace, rediscovered her power, and learned to love without losing herself. The world around her may have turned upside down, but inside, everything finally makes sense. When the divine feminine is done, it is not an ending. It is a transformation. It is the moment when love becomes sacred again, when the chase ends and healing begins. It is the point where she stops trying to be understood and starts embracing her divine truth. And from that truth, everything she was seeking begins to find its way to her naturally. So if you are the divine feminine standing at this crossroads, know this: your surrender is not weakness, it is your soul returning home to itself. The universe will rearrange everything, yes, even turn things upside down, to honor your growth. And as you rise in your power, everything meant for you will rise to meet you.